Hello, everybody. Today is May 16th, Thursday, 2013, early afternoon, and today I want to talk about indirect aggression. And indirect aggression usually stems from fear of being openly aggressive or more assertive. For example, you're at work and the company's been reorganizing and downsizing, and you're nervous about losing your job, for example. But you notice that a colleague of yours always gets to go home early, and you're always stuck doing their work and their overtime. And you say your boss passes by on the way out with that colleague, and they say, "Gosh, um, Susie must be really special to you. She gets to go home early all the time." And that's one example of indirect aggression. And other types of things that include this behavioral type is being manipulative towards others and trying to induce the feeling of guilt to others in order to get your way without being assertive. There's many different types of examples. Let's say, for example, deception is a common thing. Let's say, for example, you're a parent, you have a 17-year-old son, and he has a girlfriend, some friends, hardly goes out, sees them once in a while on the weekend, always does his schoolwork, he does well in school, he's made his intentions clear of wanting to go to university or higher education, but for whatever, and he's proven himself to be responsible, with driving. He doesn't drink much alcohol, he does sports, and his friends are out drinking most of the time. His friends make fun of him for not drinking, and then he'll tell his friends that I don't drink because I don't want to disrespect my parents or screw up my life. They make fun of him, and time again he's tried to let his feelings be known. But for whatever reason, maybe you're having trouble of letting go of your son. That's quite common, or daughter, for example. And you don't want to let them have more responsibilities because you're afraid they'll screw up. But in a sense, you don't trust yourself. Therefore, you don't trust them. No matter what actions they've done, your son's done. Passing tests, coming home on time, on curfew. His 11 o'clock curfew, etc. Never getting into trouble. You name it, good grades, and he's tried to speak to you, and you just say, yeah, it's okay, you'll be fine, but nothing ever changes. And here comes the end of the year. His girlfriend is hosting a huge party for all the senior class, and the exams haven't been finished yet. But he's been really studying hard, busting his butt, trying to get good grades. And he has one exam left, and it's a big exam, science. And his girlfriend really has been responsible as well and wants him to be there. Now, the party is being hosted by her parents in terms of safety, They know there will be drinking, so they'd rather have all the kids there under their supervision than some warehouse rave or something. And you explain this to your son explains this to you, and you still say no. You got to study. You have an exam next Monday, and it's a Thursday night on top of it, a school night. And so, in the end, your son says, "All right, I'm going to the library." But meanwhile, what he does is he packs up a change of clothes in his bag on top of his books, and normally he would take the car to go to the library, but he decides to take a cab, and you think it's weird. But you decide to trust him regardless, and he ends up going out. And he says, "I'll be home by 11, I'll call you." And in turn, he takes a cab because he is, dun dun dun, going to the party. He says, you know what, screw it, it means a lot to my girlfriend, I've done well, I've proven myself all year, I need to have a bit of fun. And he takes a cab so he will not be stuck potentially driving home drunk, which is responsible. And he goes to the party, starts having fun. His 11 o'clock curfew comes around. He forgets, he loses track of time because he has fun. And it's about 11:15. His parents call his cell phone. He answers the call, and they hear music in the background. He quickly steps away into a quieter room. You ask him what that music was, and he makes up some excuse stating that the library was announcing the closure in the next hour or two, and he says, I need a couple more hours of studying time. I'll be home probably around 1. I'll take a cab, don't worry. I'll call you if I have trouble. And you decide to trust him, even though you have your suspicions. And you realize, your son realizes 1:30 comes around, and he's a bit tipsy. His girlfriend's parents call him a cab home. He gets home. You're there waiting with your foot down, yelling at him. He says, Ma, Pa, Father, I've tried to tell you all year. You never listen to me. You never listen to anything that I want. All I've done is try to prove myself to you. You were out drinking tonight. You lied to us. And all your friends do is drink. And do you know what I do when they drink all year? I tell them I don't drink because I don't want to disrespect my parents or screw up my academics. And you look so shocked, and you say, how come you never told us this before? You say, I have, you never listen. I'm going to bed, and I can't deal with this now. And in the end, the next day, he comes up and says, you know why I didn't take a cab? I didn't want to come home drunk. Doesn't that count for anything? Isn't that responsible? And you can only say yes. And he suggests family therapy, and you have no choice but to respect his wishes. You start family therapy, and you eventually realize he did try and communicate with you in the past, in the beginning of the year. So with this example said, he was being deceitful, but it was an accumulation effect. And I'm just looking at my notes here, please forgive me. Let's say another example is you share an office with a colleague who continuously smokes and you don't like it. And you say, oh man, I've really got a headache, but then the smoky atmosphere always brings on my migraine. That's another example of indirect aggression. Another one is you ask your friend to watch your dog while you're away visiting a relative who's ill. You tell them, I know I can rely on you to look after my dog for this weekend. I couldn't possibly visit my relative, and there's no one else I could ask. That's another example. Another example is you arrange to meet a friend for a meal. He's half an hour late, and he's full of apologizes. You say, oh good, you're here at last. I'm absolutely starving. I didn't get time for lunch today, but it doesn't matter. That's another example. So none of these things are good. Indirect aggression can make one look like a pushover. And one last example I actually want to share with you. You're at work, you're in a department of 6 people, you sort of don't get along with your boss, or maybe you avoid them altogether, and you just do what you're told. And there's a promotion coming up, and the boss can only take one person. So, out of the blue, the boss likes hockey, and you invite him or her to go to your local city's professional hockey team, and just out of the blue, 2 weeks before the promotion is set to go out, and your boss looks at you strange, funny, we've never gotten close before, and you say, oh, well, I think it's time, we got close, summer's coming up, and I want to be part of the team, I want to be part of more team activities, my schedules are opening. Meanwhile, in your boss's mind, he or she's thinking, wait a minute, I see what this person's doing. They're trying to gain my favor for the promotion by thinking if they take me out to something I enjoy, I might favor them more. So that's a form of blackmail, even, trying to maneuver yourself into getting favoritism. So it's not good for anybody. You can see it puts pressure on the receiving end and yourself. And personally, for me, I find it's demoralizing and almost loses a sense of respect, self-respect for you and how others perceive you. So in the end, it's not the best behavior. Anyway, I gotta go, but I hope you've enjoyed this video. And I have stuff more on this topic on my blog, Live For You Always, at blogspot.com. And if you can post comments and questions there. Anyway, wish you a good afternoon, and have a good one.